To preface this video, I want to first state that I'm not much of an extraction shooter fan, and that's for a multitude of reasons. The first being that I don't like to spend copious amounts of hours grinding for something, just to use it and have it potentially taken away from me in an instant. By a player either camping, being at the wrong place at the wrong time, or just by simply getting outplayed. And the other, as well as the biggest reason, at least for me, is the pace. With that being said though, Arc Raiders filled a craving for me that I didn't even know I desired in the first place, and has left me wanting so much more, in terms of gameplay, immersion, and lore. In today's video, I'm not going to go through a detailed review comparing this game to popular well-established extraction shooters, because I do know there are a lot of channels that have videos which can provide you with a much better and qualified comparison review in that regard. But instead, I want to provide you with the impression it left me, from the perspective of someone that was quite frankly uninterested in the genre, as well as why I think this game has the potential to bring a whole new audience into the extraction shooter player base, and why it has the potential to be Game of the Year. So if you found this video informative, please smash that like button. It's a small button for you, but means the world to me. Also, subscribe for all things The Finals, and well, after this video, you'll know why it also is all things Arc Raiders. Let's jump into it. So at the end of April, I was looking forward to test two games, the first being Marathon and the second being Arc Raiders. Now unfortunately, I don't have my footage of Marathon, being that OBS shit the bed, and did not record it in window mode for whatever reason. But this video is certainly not about Marathon, and to put it simply, other than the gunplay, the game felt unpolished, clunky in terms of movement. I felt myself getting motion sickness just from playing no matter how hard I tried to get used to it, increasing FOV, turning off motion blur, and reducing my graphics significantly to get more frames. The whole 9 yards. The best way I could describe it was feeling like I was in stop and go traffic, because the transition between sprint and walk speed is way too jarring. The game also lacked life and the storytelling that made Destiny feel so alluring. And no, outsourcing the majority of the game's lore to YouTube in order to compensate for the poor storytelling is not what I consider immersive. And lastly, unfinished. Might be my hot take here, but I think Marathon has a long way to go, especially if they plan on charging for this game on release. This is coming from a guy that put thousands of hours into Destiny 1 and 2, and saying this definitely comes with a heavy heart. Anyhow, after Marathon, I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really excited to be jumping into yet another extraction shooter. But after playing Arc Raiders, getting wrecked with my first loadout, ending up broke, and jumping back in to get absolutely destroyed again by flying missile death machines, oddly, it left me wanting to play more. And ironically, this was the palate cleanser that I needed when it came to my perception of extraction shooters. To start things off, the movement felt fluid and smooth, whether it be mantling a ledge, sprinting, sliding down rubble, or tactically rolling, all of it felt so good and so satisfying. Unless I was over encumbered, there was never a point where I felt the movement in this game was clunky. It weirdly enough felt like I was playing a first-person shooter in third person, because of how the game allowed me to dodge shots and slide into engagements. I guess in the third-person sense, you could closely relate the movement to games like Gears of War. Speaking of gunplay, it felt phenomenal to say the least. Each gun felt and sounded crispy, with each of those guns feeling unique in their own way. These weapons can also be modified to a player's specific preference. Now, when you combine both the movement and gunplay together, it truly puts Arc Raiders in a league of its own that almost all players like myself who are new to the extraction shooter genre will easily pick up if they have played any type of first-person shooter prior to this. Another factor I consider is how time-consuming the process of looting is. Being that each item takes up one slot, I did not feel like I was playing Tetris while looting, and I could easily discern what I needed and what I didn't in a mere instant, by either the rarity color, the value, or essential materials that I needed, such as metals, plastic, or rubber parts, allowing me to seamlessly get back to exploring and surviving this beautiful wasteland. All these aspects I just mentioned equate into what I consider is the game's pace. To say that I enjoyed it would be an understatement. Now, even though pace is a very important factor when it comes to shooters, that really doesn't solve the other pain points that I have with the genre in itself, and wasn't really enough to keep me playing. Progression for me is what keeps me around and encourages me to invest more time into the game. After learning about how crafting worked, and gaining experience to level up my character regardless if I died or not motivated me to continue the gameplay loop regardless if I lost everything the last round or not. And the fact that the game allows you to keep 2 to 3 items in a safe box just in case you get ganked before being able to get to a lift, as well as recipes and workbenches that give the player the opportunity to easily recreate their loadout, gave me the assurance that the time that I invested is not going to be wasted. And even if I did not lose everything, the game has an amazing feature which provides you a weak but completely free loadout, so that you don't have to risk any of your hard-earned loot. If I'm strictly going out to gather materials, this loadout is definitely my go-to. Now I know this isn't as hardcore as most veterans in the genre like it to be, but I know this is extremely important when it comes to bringing new players into the extraction shooter space. Moving on to the immersion, in Arc Raiders, this aspect to me is unmatched and contributed to the copious amounts of hours I invested into the game. When you're sliding down a hill, you can hear the tiny pieces of rubble behind you. When you're running through water, you can hear each splash with each and every step. Running past a flock of pigeons will cause them to fly away, making the appropriate amount of noise. That can alert nearby players if they know what they're looking for. The sounds of footsteps can easily discern running and sprinting, while in a closed space, the echoes of those footsteps can provide the player with a near accurate guess as to where their target is. Same goes for the process of opening up loot or power boxes, as well as hearing nearby players using proximity chat and the reverb from the sound their voices cause. Whether it be good or bad, each and every action has a consequence that keeps the players on their toes, fully immersed and locked in. The sound design for this game is masterfully done, and other studios should take note. Now, although this game is staged on a post-apocalyptic barren wasteland, it feels more alive than most live service games that I've played. From the cinematics in the beginning, showing the player their purpose, who they are fighting, and why it is important, it gives the player a clear and concise direction of their goal in the grand scheme of things, rather than relying on YouTube to explain to players the lore of the game, because the game lore explanation falls short. This gives the player purpose, and a compelling reason is such an underrated aspect of gaming these days. Arc Raiders doesn't beat around the bush in that regard, providing you with that information within the first 5 minutes of the game, which allows the player to be more invested and ask deeper, more meaningful questions in regards to the story of this wasteland. However, after going through all these amazing aspects of the game, the one standout reason I think Arc Raiders will be Game of the Year is the organic interactions and events it creates between players. I think proximity chat has a huge role to play with that, because in combination with the hazardous environments, it forces players to take into consideration that maybe it's better to converse with words rather than bullets.
It's alright, I already completed my quest. Go ahead.
Hey there.
Oh, hey.
Want to team up?
Too late now, isn't it?
This may not be the case all the time. Trust me, I'm as trigger happy as the next guy, but seeing that relationship develop between players is a beautiful thing. And here's an example of that.
I bled out like a second.
Like explosive mixture or something for this one dude.
Oh, okay, so like a crafting component or something?
Yeah, just like random loot items, I think.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, I don't really know where to go. Why don't you lead the way?
Alright. Alright, sounds good. Snap. Oh no. Dude. You were such an evil spaceman. Why did you do
Bro,
this?
we're just sitting here chatting.
Let's go! Eat spaceman, dude.
Wow, fuck this
Kill my
guy.
new friend.
Alright, so before my crime against humanity, wouldn't you agree that this action right here made this game stand out and memorable for both of these players? These interactions are key when it comes to setting this game apart in the mind of players old and new to the genre. Hell, it did for me, and I wasn't even part of this beautiful conversation. I just ended it. Sorry guys, GG's, it was beautiful while it lasted. Anyways, Arc Raiders is a game that's not trying to overly protect its players and treat us like children that need to be coddled, but instead entertain us, the player base, which I feel a lot of games nowadays don't understand. If you ever worked a job or interact with people outside of the virtual space, you do realize the real world is an uncensored experience, and in order to reach true immersion, you have to allow the player to get as close to that as possible with minimal limitations. Because even though there will be toxic interactions, I promise you, in Arc Raiders, the most amazing and memorable ones will outnumber them tenfold. All in all, this game went above and beyond my expectations, and filled a gap in gaming that I didn't even know I needed. Just like the finals, you can see the passion and attention to detail from the developers in almost every aspect of this game, and as a result, setting a new standard for a AAA studio release. A game that is almost polished to perfection in its second playtest, and not one that is sold as a work in progress. So that's about it, guys. As you can tell, I'm going to be right there with you rating on day one. So if you found this video informative, please smash that like button. And also subscribe for all things Arc Raiders as well as the finals. Peace and love, guys, and I'll see you in the wasteland.